The Dualshock 4 and the Windows Xbox One controller are arguably the best two controllers out there at the moment. As such, many people buy these controllers even if they don't own the consoles. They buy them just so they could use them on their PC. With the Xbox controller, all you have to do is plug it in and you're ready to go. But the PS4 controller isn't nearly as convenient for PC use. Sony very rarely offers any kind of support for their products on other platforms in general, but this shouldn't frighten you if you're a PlayStation fan and don't want to settle for any other controller. You just may have to run through some hoops to get the Dualshock 4 to work properly on a PC. So that's why we made this video, to show you all the ways in which you can get the Dualshock 4 to run on your PC. These all come with their advantages and disadvantages, so we'll also be listing those and ultimately deciding which one of these is your best method. So without any further ado, let's begin. Unlike the Dualshock 4, the newest Sony controller actually has excellent third-party software support that you can use. We're talking, of course, about DS for Windows. It works by emulating an Xbox 360 controller to recognize as a Dualshock 4 on Windows. And the best thing about it is that it doesn't exclude any of the features that the Dualshock 4 has and the 360 controller doesn't. You can still use both the touchpad and the gyroscope, and what's more, they work flawlessly. It's stable, responsive, and a rather easy install. Plus, it offers a crazy amount of customization options, the least of which is the ability to set up multiple profiles for different purposes. In fact, the only downside is that you just won't be able to set up a wireless connection for the controller speaker and audio jack. But it's not like the DS for Windows is the only method that struggles with this. Our next entry also suffers from this. Speaking of which, a few years ago, Valve officially implemented Dualshock 4 support into the Steam client. As you can imagine, this was great news for Steam users, which pretty much amounts to most PC gamers. What's great about this is that it installs automatically. All you need to do is connect the controller to your PC or Mac while Steam is running and it will automatically recognize it. All in all, it's not that different from the DS4 Windows program. It's just as stable and just as responsive, and just as customizable, although you can only access the customization options using Big Picture mode. So whether you should use Steam for gaming on your Dualshock 4 will depend largely on how much you use Steam in general. While running a game through Steam, you have access to a whole library of pre-made controller profiles, and it will automatically switch from the desktop profile to an in-game profile. But if you're not big on Steam, then you're probably better off using one of the other fixes because using it for non-Steam games is inconvenient to say the least. You'll have to switch profiles manually every time, and the Steam client will still need to be working in the background for the controller to even function. And like we've said, Steam won't let you use Bluetooth audio either. The only thing that can get that to work is our next entry. Now, we've said that Sony rarely releases official drivers for their products on other platforms, and while this is sort of true for the Dualshock 4 controller as well, there are no official downloadable drivers. They did release the Dualshock 4 USB wireless adapter. Honestly, this is just an overpriced Bluetooth dongle that unlocks all of the Dualshock 4's functions on Windows and Mac OS. But let's see what exactly it brings to the table. The best thing about this adapter is that it finally brings the plug-and-play convenience on both PC and Mac. This is great for the people who really don't want to bother with the settings and adjustments that are unavoidable with the other two methods, but it's definitely not without its flaws. For starters, it's rather expensive, at least as far as Bluetooth dongles go. But what's more, it doesn't come with any sort of accompanying software whatsoever. So the only way to enjoy any customization would be directly in-game. And that's of course if the game in question supports such things. And it's really not as stable outside official Sony programs. So the only people we could recommend this to are those that are really dead set on getting that headphone jack to work wirelessly. But honestly, even then you could just buy a decent Bluetooth headset for the price of this dongle. Besides, depending on where you live, you may not even be able to get your hands on one anyway. So with all of this in mind, let's see which of these options would be best suited for you. The answer will vary with regards to your operating system. So let's start with Windows. If you're a Windows user, our suggestion is to use the DS for Windows. Why, you ask? just because it's the most convenient way of getting the most out of your DualShock 4 at all times. Indeed, Steam can be more convenient for Steam users, it'd be surprising if it wasn't, but we do have to take into consideration the fact that Steam isn't the only platform people use. If you're playing on GOG, Origin, Uplay, or just playing an old retail game that isn't available on Steam, then DS for Windows is for sure your best option. And it should come as no surprise that we don't recommend the official Sony Bluetooth adapter. It just doesn't offer enough features or stability to justify the price. I mean, it's almost more expensive than the controller itself. However, if you're a Mac user, then you can't use DS for Windows. It does have Windows in its name after all, and there just aren't any third-party drivers for Mac OS. So while a Mac will automatically register a DualShock 4 controller, the only way to get any sort of customizability out of it is if you're using Steam. And there you have it, the best way to connect a DualShock 4 to a PC. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Click the like and subscribe buttons if you did, so that we can keep making more of these videos. And as always, we'll see you next time.